Just before Jennifer gets on and starts talking, this is Kendra. I thought I would remind everybody about ABVM and cafeteria managers if you haven't signed up yet. And then we also have some other Zoom. The links are all in other documents under trainings. And then we will send that back out on July 1st, just to remind everybody, if you have not signed up, to make sure you get signed up.
Okay, we'll get started in just about a minute. The number keeps going up, so we want to try and start once everybody's on, so that you know, everybody hears the same thing. So just give it another minute or so. Hope everybody's doing good on this cool Monday afternoon. It's afternoon. The day has flown by. Okay, I think we're still getting a few that goes up. I'm just thrilled that there's 180 on the call and it's June 21st. Weren't sure what our June call would look like, but we do have some new information, some Q&As that were finally answered from some questions from USDA. So we definitely wanted to have the call today. So we're almost up to 190 now. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started. Hope everybody's well. I hope you're enjoying your summer, and summer feeding's off to a great start if you guys are doing that. So again, just we're going to do what we normally do. We'll go through the PowerPoint. I'll go through the memo that we're going to reference for the Q&As that are in the PowerPoint. We will answer questions in the chat, but maybe hold off on putting questions in the chat until we go through everything. Your question may be answered, or at least type it and not hit send, so it might get answered. We get a lot of repetition, and it does get a little frustrating sometimes for everybody because there's a lot of repetition. We don't mind doing that, don't get me wrong, that's not what we're saying, but let's try and go through all this, and then we'll answer whatever questions are in the chat when they come. But so just about a week ago, it's been a little over a week, I guess, we did get some Q&A from USDA in form of a memo. It's been put in CARS. We'll show you where that is in just a minute. We also, keeping in mind that back in April, there were 12 nationwide waivers issued. And that was letting you know how you can operate for school year 21-22 that starts most of you in August. I think we have 1 or 2 schools that might start in July in Oklahoma, but everybody else is August. So keeping in mind, let's just recap a little bit. For school year 21-22, you will be able to serve all meals free through the SSO Seamless Summer option and be reimbursed at the summer feeding program rate. So that was what we knew as of April. If your district was still having a possibility of a district-wide virtual option for kids next year, that's great. The non-congregate waiver, the mealtime flexibility, and the parent pickup were still going to be available to you if your district is opting to also do virtual as well as in-person next year. We will also talk more, and you will have some opportunities for possibly getting a meal pattern flexibility, and that may come into play with milk. As we've been hearing, getting the fat-free chocolate will be hard or next to impossible. So because of that, there will be some meal pattern flexibility for that. There's also the flexibility for offer versus serve at your senior high level, so that the kids can just go through and get a tray, and you don't have to worry about the back and forth of what 3 of the 5 items at lunch they might want. So that is an option. Dana, next slide, please. Number 93 is also the area eligibility flexibility for after-school programs, which could be the at-risk program under CACFP or the after-school snack program under NSLP. And then there's 3 waivers for some monitoring flexibility as long as the federal health emergency is still going on. And every one of these that I just mentioned will be mentioned in the Q&A in some form. So that will continue on going through that. If you want to go to the next slide, Dana. So this is the slide that is where the Q&A is. So if you were to Google SP 15-2021, you would be able to pull up this memo. We also have it in CARS. So I'm going to start with basically question 1. We're going to go through all of these. There's a bunch of questions, but I want to make sure you get all your information. There's a couple specific to Cacfp, which is our child care program. And I know some of you participate in the Cacfp at risk. They don't necessarily apply to the Cacfp at risk. So I will skip a couple questions. They're specific to our family daycare home sponsors, and you all don't have anything to do with that. So, but we will generally cover all these questions. The first one is just letting you all know that the food and nutrition services priorities for child nutrition in school year 2021 are to support schools reopening, ensuring program access for children, increasing funding for program operators. That's by letting you be reimbursed at the summer feeding rate, providing operational flexibilities, and still promoting and serving nutritious meals. And that will be done through a variety of waivers that we just went over prior to starting this Q&A question memo. Major changes would be that they're going to allow you to serve under SSO, and they're going to reimburse you the summer feeding rate. They are offering some meal pattern flexibility for items that you're unable to get. Those do have to be targeted and justified. That is part of the memo. That was also part of the waiver. So we'll move on. And again, I'll say it one more time. It says, can schools operate summer feeding after the regular school year begins in school year 21-22? And the answer is no. The main purpose of the summer feeding is to provide food service to children when schools are closed. That is the purpose of summer feeding. Because FNS did not issue a waiver allowing summer feeding to operate when schools are open during the regular school year coming up in 21-22, the summer feeding operations must end when schools reopen for the new school year. When schools reopen for school year 2021, schools may choose to participate in SSO or NSLP. Keeping in mind, if you participate under SSO, all meals will be served free at the summer feeding rate. If you choose to participate in National School Lunch, you will claim meals categorically free, reduced, and paid and be reimbursed at that rate. So we recommend, we cannot require, but we're recommending that everyone participate in SSO. The question 4 is there's 3 nationwide waivers indicate they are available through June 30th of 2022, but should only be used until greater levels of congregation in school settings is safe and healthy to pursue. Who determines when congregate meal service is safe and healthy? It does go on to say that local program operators should coordinate with the state agency to determine when congregate meal service is safe and healthy to pursue. FNS expects schools and child care providers to use the meal flexibilities of non-congregate, the mealtime waiver, and the parent pickup to determine what's best for their district and for how long and to what extent they're needed. For example, when all students at a school can safely return to the school cafeteria for breakfast and lunch, the school would no longer need the non-congregate meal service waiver. And same with child care providers once they can meet, which most child care providers meaning daycare centers. However, FNS understands that some schools and child care providers will use alternate meal service models next year, meaning virtual potentially, and may need to continue the flexibilities of those waivers, non-congregate mealtime and parent pickup, in order to serve and continue to serve in a safe and safe meals. In other cases, schools may be able to return to an in-person meal service, but need the flexibility for certain students who continue remote learning due to healthcare needs potentially. So local circumstances will differ and change over time, and FNS encourages schools and childcare providers to return to standard meal service operations when it's safe to do so. Number 5, is there an expectation that SFAs participating in SSO in school year 21-22 will return to National School Lunch, School Breakfast operations at some point during the school year? No, you will not. SFAs will participate in SSO for school year 21-22, may operate SSO for the duration of the school year. So keep that in mind. Number 6, does the nationwide waiver for area eligibility requirements apply to, oh, this is dealing with summer feeding. So I'm not going to go into that one. Right now, you all are public schools. It's talking about camps. So I'm going to skip that one. Then we go on to number 7, which gets us into the National Seamless Summer option. And it goes on to say that any school, regardless of its location, provide meals through the SSO beginning on July 1 of 2021. And the answer is yes, because we have, as a state, we have opted into the nationwide waiver number 85, which is allowing the seamless summer option through school year 21-22. And you may provide meals through SSO in the entire school year. FNS recognizes that providing schools greater flexibility to distribute meals at a variety of safe meal sites and serve smaller number of children will support social distancing and community safety during the summer months. So you're able to do summer feeding or SSO right now because it's summertime and into the school year. This is especially important at a time when communities are working to reopen, but children are not yet vaccinated. Beginning July 1 of 2021, for the duration of the school year 21-22, state agencies will no longer have to target SSO site participation under the waiver, and any school may participate. During COVID-19 operations in school year 21-22, any school, regardless of its location, may serve free meals to all children through SSO. So again, you don't have to be 50% by site. You can participate no matter what. Question 8. May SFAs operate SSO in school year 21-22, serve weekend and holiday meals through the SSO? No, you may not. We've had this question many times, but we didn't have an answer until this came out. So no weekends, no holidays. But let me read a little bit. Consistent with supporting transition back to more traditional school year operations, SFAs may not provide weekend or holiday meals through SSO when school is in session during the regular school year 21-22. However, weekend meals will remain available during unanticipated school closures, which we're not under right now. So if there was a spike and we had to go back to that, the potential is there, but right now it's not there. I just want you all to be aware. Then it goes on to say, furthermore, weekend or holiday meals may be provided through the Cacfp at-risk after school meals program, which is also has a waiver for area eligibility for school year 21-22. But please keep in mind that schools and aftercare centers participating in Cacfp at-risk are required to serve meals and snacks in a structured and supervised environment with an educational enrichment activity, providing children with additional benefits along with nutritional food. So keep in mind, if you do, a district wants to do weekend or holiday meals, they have to have structured, supervised educational component going on at the district. Those meals won't be going home. Number 9, may SFAs operate SSO at non-school sites in school year 21-22? Yes. SFAs participating in SSO have maximum flexibility to serve meals in a way that prioritizes health and safety, including possibly serving meals at non-school sites. However, FNS encourages SFAs to operate SSO at school sites when possible as schools transition back to in-person learning. SFAs may choose to offer meals only at their school sites. And I kind of anticipate that being the case for most of you, but it's an option. And if we need to discuss, we can. Okay, as we know, July 1's right around the corner and we'll be opening up our application system in CARS. And so this is one of the items you'll still have to complete in CARS, even though you're serving everyone free. And it's referring back to the public release that's in CARS. And we normally have a traditional one for those of you that just do traditional NSLP, claim your students as free, reduced, and paid. And then we have one for non-pricing, CEP, and provision schools. Because everyone's serving free this year, everyone will complete the same one, and it will be the non-pricing CEP and provision one. And we're making a statement in there that because of COVID and the USDA flexibilities, this isn't exactly how it's worded, but it's close, that all meals will be served free. So that's your public release for the public to know that all meals are free, that you have to do every year. So that is still required for this year, but it's part of the CARS reapplication or renewal application system. Again, we'll get into, we're on question 11 and the reimbursement rates. When can SFAs operating SSO begin to claim meals at the summer feeding reimbursement rate? Sorry. So in states that elect the nationwide waiver 86, which is the waiver to allow summer food service program reimbursement in school year 21-22, and operating SSO may begin claiming SSO meals at the summer feeding rate on July 1. That was news to us. That was new information. We didn't know when that would start. We thought it would be when school started, but if you're operating SSO right now and you're going to serve meals in July, you will be able to claim those meals under SSO starting July 1 and get the SFSP rate is what that is saying. And you can continue that all school year, as we've said.
Jennifer,
Yes.
I got to take a real quick break. I'm going to leave the PowerPoint right here for 1 second. I'll be right back, okay?
That's fine. You're good. Thank you. 12 is question 12. May any type of SSO site claim meals at the SFSP rate after July 1 of 2021? And yes, you can, because we've opted into waiver 86, which is the summer feeding reimbursement for school year 21-22, and it allows any SSO site to receive the summer feeding reimbursement rate effective July 1, 21 through June 30th of 2022. This means that any SSO site, including closed enrolled sites and academic summer schools, may receive the summer feeding rate beginning July 1 of 21. Similar to what I had just said. Again, so anyone serving SSO in July will be able to be reimbursed the summer feeding rate starting July 1 if you're operating SSO. Okay, 13, which summer feeding reimbursement rates will be used for SFAs operating the SSO during school year 21-22? States will pay all SFAs serving SSO meals and snacks during school year 21-22 the combined reimbursement rates established for rural or self-prep sites regardless of location. So I'm going to give you those amounts. Breakfast summer feeding rate is 2.4625. It takes it out 4 numbers after the decimal. So breakfast, 2.4625. Lunch is 4.3175. So next, when school starts, or in July, if you're operating SSO in July, that's what you'll be reimbursed per breakfast and per lunch. So they are much higher than the national school lunch reimbursement rates. Okay, number 14. Summer feeding reimbursement rates are effective for each calendar year, meaning July 1 to December 31st, whereas the national school lunch school breakfast rates are effective for each school year, meaning July 1 to June 30th. Does this mean that the rates paid for SSO will change in the middle of school year 21-22? And the answer is yes. Summer feeding rates are adjusted annually for inflationary changes and become effective January 1 of each year. Therefore, rates for schools operating SSO will be updated in January of 2022. And that normally happens, it happened actually this year rather early, but sometimes it's late January. So if by chance, and I know we got a little ways to get there, but you know, time flies when you're having fun. We will actually, if we don't get the rates by the time you need to file a January claim in February, we would have to lock those until we get it, because we don't want to pay and have to do all these revisions. It's a nightmare on reporting, and it's hard on everybody. So, but we'll take care of that when the time comes, but the rates will change in January.
Jennifer, what slide should we be on? I'm back.
I think you're maybe one. Go back one more, Dana. I think you're good right there. You're good right there. 15, question 15. Okay, under the under Child Nutrition Response 86 waiver allowed to food service program reimbursement rates in school year 21-22, SFAs may claim SSO meals and snacks at the summer feeding free rate. Does this mean that SFAs may claim breakfast, lunch, and snack at the summer feeding rate each day meals are served? No, it does not. Nationwide waiver number 86 does not change the maximum number of meals that can be served through SSO each day. Keep in mind that SFAs participating in SSO may serve and claim up to 2 meals or 1 meal and 1 snack per child per day. So nothing's changed there. So this whole time we've been able to serve under SSO, those schools that have continued to feed under SSO, you've been able to do 2 meals, breakfast and lunch, or a meal, breakfast, lunch, breakfast or lunch with a snack. So only 2 meals. And most of you, once school starts, you'll be doing the breakfast and the lunch. Now, as far as how, if you want to do a snack, we'll get to a question on that in just a second. So for school year 21-22, the meals and snacks and SFA opts to serve through SSO may be claimed at the summer feeding reimbursement rate, which we've said a couple times. Meals or snacks served through other child nutrition programs would be claimed at the appropriate program reimbursement rate. So for example, if an SFA also serves suppers through the CACFP at-risk program, the suppers would be claimed at the CACFP reimbursement rate for suppers. And the same would apply for snack, as we know right now. May SFAs operating SSO during school year 21-22 and earning the summer feeding reimbursement rates also receive the additional reimbursement amounts tied to the NSLP operations for the 7 cents for the meal patterns. And then it also goes on to discuss the 2-cent differential that some of you might get for lunch and then severe need breakfast. And the answer is no. These additional payments are specifically tied to the receipt of NSLP and SBP-based reimbursement rates and may not be paid to SFAs receiving the higher summer feeding reimbursement rates for 21-22. Those rates are already higher, so that's why they're not doing that. Plus, they're just tied to national school lunch, school breakfast. Will schools operating SSO with SFSP rates in school year 21-22 be eligible to receive state matching funds as described in Section 7 of the National School Lunch Act and at Reg 7 CFR 210-17? And yes, you will. Schools operating SSO in school year 21-22 are eligible to receive state matching funds, which is Section 7(b) of the National School Lunch Act, states that funds must be distributed equitably among local NSLP operators to the extent the state deems practicable. Local educational agencies electing to operate SSO meet this definition as SSO operations are encompassed under NSLP, regardless of the reimbursement rate paid. I need to take a drink real quick. Okay, so we're on question 18, and now we're talking about the child and adult care food program, which there'll be several questions in here I'm going to skip because they have nothing to do with schools, but this first one does. Can CACFP at-risk after-school program continue to operate in the summer of 21 after schools are closed for summer vacation? So for example, if the school officially ends their school year on May 30th, can the school continue to operate CACFP at-risk until June 30th? And the answer is no. So most of Oklahoma schools, if not all, I believe they're all out and have been for about a month. No one should be serving CACFP at-risk right now and claiming it. No. You can't. And it goes on to give the reason and the definition and then under the National School Lunch Act, because it is only allowed for school children during after school hours and there's no school going on. It's not tied to summer school either. And so then it goes on to say that unless there's a school operating on a year-round calendar, which we don't have anymore in Oklahoma. So we don't do CACFP at risk in the summer. Okay, number 19 has nothing to do with schools or what you're doing or the at-risk, so we will skip that one. We are skipping 20 and 21. Those all deal with family daycare home providers. So that then gets us to question 22, which is talking about meal patterns. Are schools permitted to use the broader NSLP, SBP, and SSO meal pattern waiver, which was nationwide waiver 74, through September 30th of 2021? And the answer is yes. And the reason for that is it's tied specifically to SSO meals and tied specifically in that if you go back and look at 74, it's tied specifically to milk and the different types of milk. And so that is allowable through September 30th. Question 23 is what justification is needed for the state agency to approve meal pattern waiver? State agencies have discretion to determine the justification needed to approve a meal pattern waiver. FNS expects that the justification SFAs and child care providers submit will vary based on their meal service plans and local circumstances. It also talks about no, that's a different question, sorry. So that one's just, they do have to be targeted and justified. And I am briefly summarizing. Goes on to say that states that are electing to use the school meal pattern flexibility for 2021 and the waiver number 91 for CACFP is not one that we chose to opt into as a state. The requests are targeted and justified based on the plans to support safe access to nutritious meals. FNS expects that SFAs and childcare providers will strive to meet the nutritional standards to the greatest extent possible in the new school year. And FNS also understands that some meal pattern flexibilities may be needed in school year 21-22 to support a safe and successful reopening of schools and support social distancing. 24 is talking about the sodium flexibility. And while on the last call we had, we did tell you we were allowing for that sodium flexibility, this just clarifies that we still will have to track that for reporting purposes to USDA. Any waivers that have been issued and that you all apply for, we have to track back to USDA. So we just can't say, sure, just do it. We just have to have the documentation to back it up and the number of people who opted into it and things like that. So do SFAs need to request a waiver for the sodium flexibility? Yes. However, in all cases, state agencies should approve use of the sodium flexibility. Many schools are relying on prepackaged grab-and-go foods to provide a safe meal service, and many of these foods are higher in sodium than the foods that were typically used by schools prior to COVID-19. FNS is still requiring schools to request the use of a sodium flexibility, but the sodium request will function as a notification to the state so that the state agency can meet reporting requirements. And that's what that is. These will be tied to the renewal application in CARS as part of the SSO application. So they'll be, that's how we're going to be able to track them. The next question is 25 is dealing with milk. Do SFAs need to request a waiver to offer low-fat 1% flavored milk? Okay, so follow me here because they're overlapping a couple memos here. Through appropriations, Congress has provided flexibility for schools to offer low-fat 1% flavored milk in National School Lunch, School Breakfast, and SSO. This flexibility is currently effective through September 30th of 21, and that's that waiver I talked about a minute ago, number 74. That's what that waiver was. Absent congressional action, schools will need to request a waiver in order to serve low-fat flavored milk. FNS will notify states and program operators of any congressional action impacting this flexibility beyond September 30th of 21. In addition, schools can request waivers to address the remainder of the school year if necessary, based on their circumstances such as operational or procurement constraints affecting their ability to change practice during the school year. So keep in mind that we know in Oklahoma, we basically have one milk vendor, and that's Highland Dairy. They've bought Borden, and then they've closed a couple plants, and even your US Food and your Cisco and your Benny Keith are getting the milk through Highland. I've talked to Highland. I've also talked to USDA about this, and USDA is in agreement that Highland, because they had to purchase their packaging so far ahead of before the guidance was issued in April, they had done that months prior to that. They opted to go with 1% chocolate packaging. They did not order fat-free chocolate packaging, and therein lies the problem. They can switch to fat-free if they needed to. They just don't have anything to put it in packaging-wise. So they, down the road, may be able to do that, but it's going to be potentially like maybe October, November, even December before that was to happen. So they can't meet the demand for the fat-free chocolate. So based on that, that is a targeted and justified reason for the waiver. What I have seen several schools provide us is a letter from Highland stating that fact. They can't meet the demand because of packaging, and so they can meet the 1% chocolate requirement. And we are accepting that. So just so you know, that will be one that basically you're going to be able to do 1% chocolate and be in compliance. Okay, fresh fruit and vegetable program. May an elementary school participate in the fresh fruit and vegetable program if they're operating SSO in school year 21-22? And the answer is yes. You will apply in cars just like you always do when it opens, and those will be awarded accordingly. And then as of right now, I'm still looking into this next question. It talks about the state requesting a waiver, a state waiver, because they're not doing one, a blanket one for nationally. I'm still looking into this, but it says, may state agencies request statewide waivers for fresh fruit and vegetable requirements to facilitate fresh fruit and vegetable program operations in school year 21-22. And it says that we can do that. So I'm still looking into that. Okay, so let's go on to question 29, which talks about applications and verification. And it goes on to say, should LEAs collect school meal applications if they're operating SSO? And it basically states that generally the school meal application is used to determine eligibility for free reduced price meals. By extension, eligibility for school meals is used to determine eligibility for PEBT. LEAs must take school meal application, must make school meal applications available as needed to certify children for free and reduced meals. And that information may be used to qualify newly eligible children for school year 21-22 and summer 22 PEBT benefits. Also keep in mind that you have a lot of other funding at your district tied to free and reduced applications. And so we've said all along, you're encouraged to do that because of that other funding. And so then the question becomes, if we collect free and reduced applications, which is, I'm on question 30, are they required to conduct verification? And yes, you are. LEAs that collect household applications in school year 21-22 are required to conduct verification regardless of the reason the applications were collected and or the child nutrition program you are operating. The sample size used to conduct verification activities must be based on the number of approved applications on file as of October 1, just like always, which that's all referenced in our child nutrition manual that will be up in cars in July, on July 1. And will be discussed in all our summer trainings that Kendra even mentioned, the ABVM, that will be discussed. Okay, LEAs will accept applications throughout the summer to allow newly income eligible households to qualify for summer PEBT potentially. If a household is determined eligible through an application submitted after the school year ends, which would be in May or June, but before July 1, may LEAs that elect to operate NSLP rather than SSO honor that application for free reduced meal price meal benefits in school year 21-22? And the answer is no, because as always, you cannot collect applications for the new school year. So in this case, school year 21-22 before July 1st, because that would be considered an old application. So eligibility determinations for free reduced price meals must be made every school year. The National School Lunch Act and program regulations define the school year as the period beginning July 1 of any year and ending June 30th of the following year. It references the National School Lunch Act section as well as the reg. Therefore, school meal eligibility determinations for school year 21-22 must be made after July 1 of 21. And then it goes on to discuss monitoring, and there's 3 questions on monitoring. And the first one is asking if can the state implement a blended offsite and onsite monitoring approach? And we are allowed to do that because we have some nationwide waivers, 94, 95, and 96 that allow for flexibility for our monitoring, as well as when you all do monitoring of your programs. And we will be doing reviews this year. We did get guidance on that. We're still waiting on a little bit other, but they did give us guidance that we will be doing it. And there'll be certain portions of it that obviously won't apply because you're feeding everyone for free, and a few other things. And they're supposed to give us guidance, a little bit more guidance on that, but you will be having child nutrition reviews this year. Does the on-site monitoring waiver apply to SSO monitoring requirements for SFAs? Yes, the SSO part of the NSLP and includes SBP. SFAs that choose to operate SSO during school year 21-22 may use the offsite monitoring flexibilities that are offered in Nationwide Waiver 94. And then it goes, the last question of the Q&As goes on to say the nationwide on-site monitoring waivers 94, 95, and 96 remain quote unquote in effect until 30 days after the end of the public health emergency. Is this based on a federal declaration or of a public health emergency or a state declaration of a public health emergency? And it's based on the federal. Our state of Oklahoma has already dropped their the public health emergency, but ours is based on the federal. So if the federal level drops the public health emergency, we have 30 days, you as an entity, a school, and us as a state agency, we have 30 days to come into back into compliance with full monitoring. The flexibilities would then be done. So we have a couple more slides, and then we will go to the chat. So in CARS, this is just a picture in CARS where all the waivers are. And the one on the bottom there, it's under other documents, information 2122, it's down there. And again, if you were just to put into Google SP 15-2021, it'll come right up. So you can get it in multiple ways. Next slide, please. I've already mentioned that we'll be doing school reviews. They have not given us any guidance on procurement reviews. I know we'll be doing them, but I don't know, they might change up a little bit. We haven't heard on that. So we're also still waiting on that guidance. And next, milk, we talked about milk. You need to get something from Highland about that. And the waiver 91, we as a state are not opting into it. It was the meal pattern flexibility for CACFP in general, all programs under CACFP. Just a reminder, schools that contract with a food service management company, the contract pricing cannot be changed during the contract period. It is the SFA's responsibility to manage the contract with the FSMC. The only change in the contract can be at the annual CPI at renewal time, and it can only go up or down according to what the CPI. So just because of COVID, they have not been able to charge you more. They should not have been doing that. So be sure and always check your invoices. There is a link to PEBT. There was I didn't know it, but last Thursday's weekly wave call was on PEBT again. There was an issue this morning. Last email I got, I think they had figured that out and they were working on getting that back up. I found out, I didn't get a lot of information this morning. I just got I got a sad face from somebody about it. So anyway, but there is information on that link right there for PEBT. Next slide. Summer trainings. We are in the middle of our Farm to School Project Fresh grant that we got, which is done through Cooking for Kids. I attended the June 8th through the 10th in Oologah, and it was a lot of fun. I'm going to hit the road tomorrow and go to Shakota for that one. And then we'll have another one on June 29th through July 1st in Atoka. And so there's still room in that one if you're interested. And then Cooking for Kids also has other trainings going on, and those are on our website. As a reminder, hey, go back one more real quick. Sorry, I wasn't quick enough. ABVM and cafeteria managers start in about 3 weeks, and the link can be found in other documents on the CARS system. And we do continue to send emails out about that, and we'll send another one out a little bit before. There's a combination of Zoom, virtual, and in person, some trainings. We were able to get some in person for locations that were allowing training. So we have to follow their guidelines as far as COVID. So if they require a mask, we'll have to do that. We have to follow theirs, the actual locations requirements for COVID. Other trainings that will be in July and August, such as Smart Snack, Professional Development, you jumped on me again, After School Snacks, Fresh Fruit and Vegetable, Food Buying Guide, Production Records, and Procurement. I think we're offering more trainings than we ever have, and we've tried to shorten them up and be very topic related. So our trainings are booming. And more summer trainings, we'll have some at-risk trainings. And then on July 23rd, there's going to be a training to walk through CARS application process. It will be Zoom, And they will be going through, I believe Edgar and Dana are going to do this one, and they'll be detailing how to complete the seamless summer option on the application. So next slide, or are we at the end? Planning still to have a call on July 19th. There might be more information coming out. I know we still have a few questions, and I know one of them is in the chat. I don't have the answer to it yet, but we'll get to that in a minute. And then we'll probably have one, plan on having one in August. And I think everybody basically will be back in school by August 23rd. It's going to fly by. So next slide, Dana. Or are we at the end? Oh, the link to the recording for the May 24th call is right there. And I'm going to go to the chat and scroll up and get some questions answered. Okay, so yes, somebody asked what the summer feeding reimbursement rates are, and someone put them in the chat, but just to reiterate, breakfast is 2.4625 and lunch is 4.3175, and that will be until January. I don't have okay, adults, we don't have the July 1 or after, which it will be after, the National School Lunch School Breakfast rates come out, and we will figure what the adult price is, and it will be on the Schedule B. But until we have the rates, we can't tell you what you have to charge for adults yet. It's based on National School Lunch School Breakfast. So, okay. You will be renewing your SSO sites after July 1 when the application rolls out. The plan right now, it's looking fine for it to roll out next Thursday, I believe is July 1. So that's when you'll go in and do all your July stuff. With the FY22 application beginning, yes, somebody answered that. Okay. Since we are doing SSO, do we have to collect lunch applications? I highly recommend that you go ahead and collect lunch applications, yes. So much other is tied to that funding, and your schools are going to want that. So yeah, I recommend that. And the agency's recommending that. So if your administration's been on other calls with the agency, they're also recommending that. Schools that will be attempting to achieve CEP for school year 23, please explain what will need to be done to prepare for FY22 and the applications needed. USDA issued guidance to allow you to pull your CEP information, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words, anytime in last school year, and you have until June 30th to do that. You need to print an enrollment form for the same time, and you need to tell us by September 30th if you're going to elect CEP. Now, if you're wanting to, because you're serving, if you want to check it for this year, even though you're serving everyone free under SSO in FY22, if you check it now and it's high, you might want to go ahead and lock that in, because if you were to check it in April of 22 for FY23, it might have dropped. So you might want to go ahead and check it now and check it again in 23. You can always reestablish. Just word to the wise. Oh, if all students are free, it may be difficult to collect new applications. You are correct. We agree with that. Can we use the economically disadvantaged form instead? My understanding is that federal programs, which is some of the title programs, my understanding is it's all based on free and reduced, not economically disadvantaged. I don't work for that program, but that's just what I've heard. So that's why we're saying do the free and reduced lunch application. Yes, you will need to still fill out the entire CARS application, including SSO, because so much is tied, rolls over from year to year, and we need that information to continue to be updated. So yes, the entire application will need to be done. Oh, when will you know if you're up for review? You can reach out to your area consultant right now. They know who's up for review. They just don't know yet when they will start reviews. Okay, they answered that. Okay. Does the meal pattern requirement waiver include not using 100% whole grain rich foods? Okay. Our kids don't like whole grain tortillas or biscuits. Okay, I understand that there's a dislike for whole grain tortillas or biscuits, but that is not kids not liking it, USDA doesn't accept that as targeted or justified for us to be able to approve a waiver. I apologize. When do weekend meals need to end if doing them over the summer? Basically when school starts in August, yes. Are we only feeding our students that are enrolled? That is the question that we have posed back to USDA again, because they haven't answered that. It wasn't part of this Q&A, and that was one of the biggest questions that all the states in our region were asking when the waivers came out. So we're still waiting on guidance on that. I can't answer that. I wish I could, but we definitely have asked and are waiting on that. Any more information on when the extra funds for last year will be paid out? If you're referring to the emergency funds that were tied to the 19 and 20 numbers, we still have not gotten approval of our plan yet. So I don't have the money and I don't have approval of our plan. We had a call with USDA last Thursday and they were finishing approving those plans and sending them back for questions. And as of this call, when it started, I hadn't received anything. By no means do I think our plan was perfect. There's always something they find to it. So I do expect to get something back stating we need to adjust or tweak or clarify, which happens, which isn't unusual by any means. So once our plan's approved, we will be issued the money and then we can start payment. But I got to get a approved plan first. Everything's tied to a plan. Okay. Does each school need to apply for waivers 85 and 86? Are they automatic since they are nationwide? 85 and 86 are tied to serving meals under SSO and the summer feeding rate. And we as a state opted into that. So that's all you have to do there. So you're good to go. Hi, Nancy. I can't believe we get to talk to you one more time. Congratulations again. I hope you're having a little get together tomorrow at your district. Congratulations, and we'll miss you. We will be handing out 7-day boxes starting June 28th through July 26th. We are operating under SFSP right now. Our application allows us to do this until October. I know we will have to start SSO in August. Will I need to claim those boxes under? Okay, so once school starts, summer feeding must stop and you won't be doing the boxes anymore. I know we will have to start SSO in August. Will I need to claim those boxes under SFSP or SSO? Will I need to start when I put in SSO application in July? So Danielle, I need you to reach out to your area consultant and so that we can make sure we get you on the right track and that you don't hand out meals that you may not get reimbursement for. So please reach out to your area child nutrition consultant, or I mean, you can call in here too. That's not a problem, but just letting you know. Okay. Jennifer and SDE team, just for clarification, info shared was that all SFSP would be paid out at the rural self-prep rate. That is correct, but I want to double check. Yes, summer feeding will be paid out at the rural or self-prep pay rate. Yes. What to verify that this includes SFAs that partner with a management company. Our understanding is yes, but I can double check on that. They will also receive the rural self-prep instead of all other types of site rates. My understanding is yes, but I will make note of that real quick. I forgot to get a pencil and I will double check, Jennifer. Okay. I'm pretty sure that is correct though. Do you still have to fill out NSLP application in cars if we claim snacks through NSLP? Yes, yes. Yeah, if you're gonna do snack, the after school snack program under the National School Lunch, you will do that under NSLP in cars and you're gonna complete the entire cars application. We are having 1 remote learning day per month for the coming school year. Are we allowed to offer grab and go meals for that day? Yes, you may. So it's a school day and you have the flexibility for non-congregate, meal pattern flexibility, and parent pickup. So yes, you can. What happens if parents don't see a need to fill out a free and reduced meal application since meals are free? That is the $1 million question. We agree. What's the incentive there? You can, have maybe stores, Walmart, Target, I don't know, other stores in your community, maybe donate some gift cards, and for turned in applications, everybody's name goes into a hat and you can pull out a name and somebody wins. You can get creative with some incentives there. Other school districts do that as well. But you're right, and that's been discussed multiple times. What's the point? It's discussed on our calls with the region. It's discussed, why fill out an application? I'm getting a meal for free. But again, so much is tied to that. There needs to be encouraged. It really needs to be encouraged. By no means can you require that an application be completed. That's not allowed. It's never has been allowed. You cannot require it, but you can give incentive to do it. If you are currently doing SSO next year, will the school be paid the SFSP amount? Yes, starting July 1, anyone doing SSO will be reimbursed at the SFSP rate. Do we need to adjust the free and reduced application for the new year, or can we just update the date and the income scale? You'll need to use the new one, and that'll be, we can send that to you, but we're not posting it online yet. But we can get it to you. The scale's been out for a while, and the income or the application basically is the same as what it was last school year. But we do have to update the year on it. And so if you're going to change it in any way or add anything to it, you need to get it approved through Becky Gray in our office. When we take applications and determine them, do we still need to send out letters telling them the determination? Oh, that's a great question. I don't know that that's been mentioned. You're going to have to verify it. Ooh, that's a good question, JD. Let me double check. I have a feeling I know what USDA is going to say, but well, and you only had to send out letters for deny. Let's find out. Let's find out. My school is doing a reading and math tutoring for 3 weeks in July. We will feed them breakfast and lunch, so that will be my new school year, correct? Although school does not start until August. That's correct. The school year starts, no matter when you all start, the state says the school year starts July 1. So I had someone message me and asked, we're doing a reading and math tutoring for 3 weeks in July. We will feed them breakfast and lunch. So yes, you're gonna have to complete your CARS, NSLP CARS application and SSO application and do that. Well, I guess, I don't know who this is. It's maybe you're already approved for summer feeding though. And if that's the case, that application's already done. So I don't know what district you're with, but if you're already doing summer feeding, but if you're not, then it would be under SSO. So does child nutrition, can child nutrition funds be used for hazard pay? Yeah, if it's in your district policy for that, it can. That was in, I think it was mentioned in the waiver that talks about reimbursing at summer feeding rate, which would have been, I think that's number 86. I think. I agree. Have a great retirement, you lucky lady, Nancy, somebody said. Okay, Shauna, CEP question. My enrollment is down low and my CEP rate appears to be up. Can I lock it in? And if my enrollment goes back up, but the DC system DC stays the same, am I still okay since I locked in my rate? That is correct. Hence why I get enrollment at the same dates. Oh, okay. Yeah. If it's up, you might want to go ahead and lock in for this year and keep it that way. And then you can always reevaluate the next year. You can always go back up. You can always reestablish if it's gone up. No, I do not know what the reimbursement rate for SNAC and NSLP because we're waiting for the rates to be released in July. Rates always change in July, and we always seem to have lag time because they don't ever come out on the 1st of July. Typically it's mid, sometimes it's late July. Chris Krista, I think Kendra can probably mail you a free and reduced application, or Dana, we can get it to you. So if we are CEP, do we still need lunch applications? This is confusing. No, under CEP, you do not collect lunch applications. CEP is based on direct certification. And you can always reach out to the office or your area consultant for more questions on CEP if you're confused. Feel free, that's what we're here for. As of right now, Krista, no, that's not going to happen. Meals over the break, as far as we know right now. Now, have things changed and could something change? Yes, but right now that's a no. Let's see, I'm sure you need to send out determination letters because that information will be tied to other things like PABT. So parents need to know where they stand, maybe attach a letter explaining, that might be a possibility why you're getting an application that might say reduced, but your kids are getting fed free. That's a little confusing at times, I'm sure. So that's not a bad idea, but we'll go ahead and get further clarification on that. Do we apply for waivers 85 and 86? No, you do not need to apply for waiver 85 and 86. We as a state opted into those waivers, which in turn will allow you to serve SSO and be reimbursed at the summer feeding rate. How do you get that into your district policy? And when can we pay this for our employees? How do we determine the amount? You need to, your district has district policies, and that would just need to be, they may already have a hazard pay, and maybe child nutrition isn't in it. I don't know if they would be or not, but you would just need to write a policy, and I'm sure it needs to be board approved. And then, when can we, when you can pay it would depend on what your policy says, and the amount would depend, it would have to be reasonable, allowable, and necessary. And I think in this case, most of that would apply for COVID. And the amount, again, would need to be reasonable as well, not something outrageous, but it's all based on your district. On the first page of the Free and Reduced app, there's a place to type in breakfast and lunch prices for the year. I would just put 0 is what I would do on the application. It's an allowable cost because of COVID. Can I elaborate on using CN funds for hazard pay? It's an allowable cost for COVID. I believe back, how long ago? It was, I don't know, I want to say like last April or May, we finally did the clarification from USDA regarding that. And they basically said if it was part of your district, a district policy, and that was discussed on this call way back when, that it could be paid out. So again, it's a district policy. I can't, it'd be just different for every district. It's a local decision, local level decision. I thought that I had read about weekend and holiday meals. Now under CACFP at risk, yes, but under SSO right now, no. Holiday meals or breaks was a no. But the memo does talk about under CACFP. You have to be approved for CACFP and you all that as well. Are you able to use your ESSER care and CARES money to do a hazard pay even for support staff? Just FYI, check with your superintendent. That is correct. Thank you, Tammy. Yeah, ESSER and CARES money isn't child nutrition money, and they have certain requirements for their money just like we have for our money. So I am pretty sure that in some instances that can be used, but I am not an ESSER or CARES person. So you need to discuss with your superintendent and the federal program director. That's exactly what you need to do. Who do you email for a free and reduced application for next school year? We can get you one, Dana, Kendra, we can get you one. They'll be going up in cars probably, let's see, probably next Monday, because it'll be close enough to July to be able to do that. Shauna says, we determined our hazard pay stipend compared to what other major city school districts did, just as an FYI, yeah. And it's just gonna, there's a lot of things that can depend on in your district that, right, whoever does policies, their superintendent, the board, the program directors would help with that. Any other questions? Because we're at the end of chat.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Kendra not, we do have the free and reduced lunch applications ready for the 21-22 school year. We just didn't release them with all the PEBT. We didn't want people filling them out
I
in
agree.
June, and then you guys having to get them again in July, which you may have to for PEBT, but we didn't want the new ones being filled out in the wrong year and being confused. So we do have those ready to release, and we will get those posted in cars under the other documents under the 22 school year. We'll try to have that out next week, if at all possible.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? So I'm just making a couple notes here for some. Yes, that is my understanding. SNAC participants qualify for PEBT. It's my understanding. In normal years, yes, it's nice. Early June, updated copy. I get that, yeah. And okay, any other questions? Okay. Well, we're going to plan on the July 19th call. If we need, I don't know yet, Lori. We're waiting. We don't know if you can feed unenrolled kids, meaning siblings of kids that are enrolled. We don't know that yet. We're waiting on that. So hopefully we'll get something on that. All the states are wondering that. And as far as the call on July 19th, again, we're going to plan on having that call. If we get new guidance and we think we need to have it sooner so that you guys can have the information quicker, we would obviously send something out through cars. If it's really close to July 19th, kind of like this Q&A came out a little over a week ago, we just decided to wait and have this call because everybody knew about it. It's just a little bit easier to do it that way. Oh, as far as somebody just put in the chat, administrative funding for PEBT, it'll be based on I was going to grab the memo, but I don't see it sitting out on my desk. I had it out the other day. It's based on, it'll be based on your free and reduced numbers from October, the last low income report in October 1920. That's what we're basing it on. And it's a flat rate based on the number of free and reduced. And so once I have to have information to USDA for that on August 6th. So I've been working on that. I have to fill out their Excel spreadsheet and I have to put in some information. It's a flat amount. They've done it two ways, but they've settled on this flat rate amount. It's a simplified, you all won't have to turn anything into us. You don't have to keep track of anything, but you'll have to request it. Don't send me anything yet, please. We will be getting something out about that, but there is some administrative funding for that. We will get something out, just FYI. Tammy, I can't speak for FIDPER. I cannot. I can only speak for SNAP. Yes, I'm with you, April. It's been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare for our office too. I'm glad you think you have it done. My fingers are crossed for you, but I agree completely. It has the way that I'm not going to go into it. I could say a lot of things. They may not be very nice. So I'm just going to say, yes, it's been a nightmare. I'll agree with you.
We had one question about could schools feed adults and teachers under SSO? Feeding
your teachers under SSO will be just like feeding them under NSLP. They will have to pay that amount. And again, until we get the national school lunch, school breakfast amounts, I can't give you what that is, but it'll be part of the Schedule B and in applications. Once we do get the rates, we have to have the rates to be able to tell you that. You can still feed them. If your district is feeding them free, they need to contact OCAS because that becomes a benefit and it's a whole process. Your child nutrition staff that normally eat for free because they are in the actual operation of that meal, they can. But yes, no, teachers and adults, visitors, parents do not eat for free. No, non-federal funds have to cover the cost of that meal because you're not reimbursed in any way, shape, or form for it. Shauna, did you answer about CACFP for next year? Oh, no, the memo does say you can do, if you're approved for CACFP, you can do the weekend meal and holiday meal service. It's question, sorry, where is it? No, it's not under, sorry, I thought I knew what it was. Talking about weekends. It's question 8 in the Q&A I just went over a little bit ago. If we collected LR applications last year, maybe free and reduced, I don't, LR applications. Last year, is anything we need to do on our end for PEBT? Maybe you mean lunch applications? You need to make sure.
She meant free and reduced.
Free and reduced. You need to make sure that the children are entered into your student information system correctly as free and reduced is the biggest thing you need to make sure you are doing. Not just the child nutrition system, it's the student information system, because that is where that benefit's paid from, student information system. Oh, I got some more coming in, hold on. Is there a reason they don't offer reimbursement on after school snack and SSO? Because the regulations only allow for 2 meals under SSO. Who do you contact when you feed your teachers? Contact where? Christy. You will not be reimbursed for teacher meals. Nobody ever is reimbursed for teacher meals. If you're feeding all your teachers for free, it has to be paid for with non-federal funds. And then it becomes a taxable benefit, technically, that you'll need to reach out to OCAS about. The memo does state about weekend meals and CACFP, question number 8. But you cannot send them home. You have to serve them on site in a structured and supervised environment with an educational enrichment activity, providing children with additional benefits of the nutritious food. You're not sending foods home under CACFP at risk next year, according to this memo. It's a structured, supervised environment. Okay. Will we be able to claim after school snack on NSLP like this year? Yes, that is correct. And it has to be at the end of the day and all that. Yes, that is correct. But we never reimburse for teacher meals. Don't claim teacher meals or adult meals. Yes. Okay. Again, next call, July 19th. Nancy, we really will not talk to you next call. Good luck. Enjoy it. And one last call for questions. Yeah. One last call. Going once, going twice. Have a great summer. We'll talk to y'all on July 19th. Thank you for all you guys continue to do. I hope you're enjoying your break, and I hope summer feeding is going successfully. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.